All right, well, let's get this rolling. I decided I was going to do a Facebook Live episode this afternoon because there's been more of this nonsense about allegations of impropriety about the latest victim is now Randy Hillier. And I got to tell you something. I am sick to death and fed up with this ability that people have to completely eviscerate or gut like a trout somebody's career based on nothing more than allegations. I've had it with that. I'm sick and tired of this. Every time you turn around, now look, Randy Hillier, he and I don't always agree. We've had our spats over the past, but I've always had a certain amount of respect for the man. And the reason is because he's, whether you like him or not, you know what you get with Randy. So I wanted to come out and do this Facebook Live broadcast, not just in defense of Randy or anybody else, but in defense of our criminal justice system. And the reason why I say that is because we are a country of laws. We are a country where if someone has committed a crime, then you take the evidence of that crime to the police, you surrender it to them, and they do an investigation. And if there is enough evidence of a crime being committed, they take it to the courts. The person is then charged, or a warrant's issued, he's arrested and charged, brought into the courtroom, and given his day in court. And the courts decide innocence or guilt, not public opinion. But it's gotten to the point where social media is so powerful. And we got this Me Too attitude. I'm not trying to say that every case of sexual assault is not true. I'm not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, for all I know, when you hear the details of this story, or if I posted this story on my Facebook page, if you haven't looked at it, go and have a look at the allegations being made about Randy Hillier and what he is supposed to have been guilty of. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. This is utter nonsense. He was having a smoke outside 2 years ago at a convention. And the person who's supposed to be the alleged victim is Goldie Gamari. Now, Goldie Gamari, if the name rings a bell, was the parachute candidate in the riding of Carleton when Jay Tysick was running to become the member for the PC party of that riding. And there are all kinds of shenanigans around how Goldie got, excuse me, the nomination. Okay, so she's not exactly what I would call a rock-ribbed conservative to begin with. But more important than that is that we have seen more than one person tried, convicted, and executed in the course of public opinion. Even Weinstein, look, it goes back to that. Whether they're guilty or not is not for you and I to decide. We can comment on it after the courts make their decision. But the idea of having people come out and say, oh, he looked at me sideways 40 years ago, he sexually assaulted me, is ridiculous. Now, if I was Randy Hillier, the first thing I would do, because he's apologized profusely if she felt intimidated. Okay, so they're, just to set the case, in case you haven't read the article yet, they're at a convention 2 years ago. And they go outside for smoke. Randy smokes, Goldie smokes. So they went outside. He's standing on one side of the doorway. She's standing on the other. They're having a smoke. They exchange a few words, and that's it. And that's supposed to be how he's intimidated her by using his body. Now, Randy's an opposing guy. You don't want to face him in the House of Commons. But to say that's the kind of, if she can't take that kind of intimidation, what's she doing in the game of politics in the first place? So she's out there having a smoke. He has a smoke, have a slight conversation. Boom, that's it. And this they drag out 2 years later to try to ruin Randy Hillier, the way they pulled down Patrick Brown. So if I'm Randy Hillier and I walk, the first thing I do is I find the nearest podium. And I call a press conference, and I stand behind that podium, and I say, listen, Goldie, if you've got evidence of intimidation, harassment, sexual or otherwise, you take your evidence to the police. And if there's enough there, then they can charge me, and we'll deal with this in the courts. Other than that, shut up and sit down. Because somebody has to stand up and say this stuff. We're a nation built on laws. We're a nation built on justice, or at least we used to be. And every time one of these, and it's mostly men, let's be honest about it, it's men that are under assault here. Every time a guy gets attacked, that gets eroded a little more because the court of public opinion becomes more important than the courts where we have judges who are supposed to be impartial, weighing the evidence, looking at the facts, and that's all they care about. Now, there's lots of people out there say, oh, it hasn't been that way in years. Yes, there are certainly cases where you can point to that. I'm not denying that. The courts are not perfect by any stretch, but they're a lot better than the court of public opinion. So I'm just in a rage over this because this is absolutely ridiculous that this is happening again. And we all sit there going, oh, the poor guy. Oh, the poor guy. I'm glad it's not me. Oh, the poor. No. It's about time we stood up and said enough of this stuff. So when somebody like Goldie comes out and says this kind of stuff, you know what you and I should do? Go to her Facebook page and just ask what evidence she has and why she isn't taking this through legal channels if this is in fact anything to this at all. Because I think what's really going on here is an internal fight. I don't think there's Goldie and it doesn't have a lot of friends inside the political party because of the way that she was put in. She's not the only one like that. But this seems to me to be more of an internal struggle than because it just doesn't make sense on any other level. Why would she wait 2 years? It's the same thing. You can make the same argument with Patrick Brown. Why did the ladies wait that long to bring these allegations forward? No, I'm sorry. This stuff has to return to the courts as it was meant to be. Because you can completely destroy somebody. You can completely wipe their lives out, like just completely destroy them. Politically, socially, economically, you can destroy businesses, families, tear families apart. That's why we have courts. It's why we don't do things like duels anymore. It's why we don't have guys squaring off in the streets defending their lady's honor, fist to fist, like we used to. This has got to end. So my recommendation is every time one of these dandelions pops up in your lawn and you see it, go to their website and say, what's your evidence? Why aren't you taking this to the police? And let's start standing up and defending each other because you know something? Maybe the day comes when it is you. Maybe the day comes when it is someone you know personally. It's about time we started to get a little bit of a rally around the flag attitude and start saying we're done with this. We're not going to let the media chew another person up and spit them out without at least giving them the day in court. All right. I'm going to end it there. I've had my rant. I wanted to share that with you, give you that idea because I am fed up with this and we have to do something about it. So if it's going to start, let it start here. Share this video as widely as you can and get other people to start doing the same thing. How much effort does it take when a Gamari pops up or when these two girls, these two ladies, I use the term loosely, pop up and trash somebody like Patrick Brown? I have no love for Patrick Brown. I made that clear in the last video. I thought he was a terrible leader, but he doesn't deserve this. He deserves his day in court like everybody else. Randy Hilliard doesn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. They deserve to be heard. They deserve to have their side of the story told, and if guilty, then we can talk about it. It's exactly the opposite of the Ben Levin story. Funny how you notice that then doesn't make much press anymore. It never really did make a whole lot of press. A convicted, confessed pedophile, we don't want to talk about that. But somebody comes out and winks at somebody 20 years ago. Oh my God, all of a sudden you got to hang them from the highest steeple. All right. Thanks for joining me on this short broadcast. I know it's short, but if I don't shut up soon, I'm never going to shut up, and you don't want that. We'll see you all again soon. Thanks for listening.